This technique shows how to do a welt pocket that goes all the way up to the waistband, and then it allows you to use a jig to press the welt so you get a nice, really clean welt. Here we have all the pieces we need for our welt pocket. We have the pocket welt, we have the pocket facing with a fold line, the welt interfacing pieces. We also have our pocket lining. This is 19 inches or longer. You can make it as a single piece or you can make it as two pieces. You'll connect the pocket facing down here, so you can have that on the second piece and then add that later when you're closing the pocket bag. So you don't need to have a full 19-inch piece of fabric here. And it can even be two different types of fabric. So we'll go ahead and cut out these pieces. Now we have all our pieces cut out. We have our pocket welt. This can be contrasting fabric. We have our pocket facing. This can be contrasting or the same. This will be inside the pocket. We have welt interfacing. We have the garment where we're putting our pocket in. This can be a front panel or part of a bag. We also have our pocket lining. Now remember, the pocket lining can be longer or shorter, and it can be one piece or two pieces of fabric. So let's get sewing. Here we have our fabric that we're going to attach our welt pocket to. We need to turn this over and we're going to attach interfacing to this side. Remember, interfacing the bumpy side is the glue, so we'll place that down. But where should we put it? We can use our pocket bag pattern as a guide. So right here we have where our interfacing will go, and we want to center it on that pocket bag. So we have this centered on the bag, and we just put two little marks, and then we can use the iron to put this interfacing down. Remember, put the glue side down, and when you're using interfacing, we want to make sure that we press and don't move around. Now with a hot iron, go ahead and push this in. Remember, I'm pushing down, pick up, move. So now we have the interfacing attached to our garment piece. Now we need to attach the interfacing to our welt. Remember, to the wrong side, but we don't want to get any glue on our ironing board, so you can just go ahead and put a piece of paper here to protect. Lay the interfacing down. This will be the same process. We want to press and not move. Give it a good 30 seconds. Really get that glue activated. Now we have the interfacing on our pocket welt. This is our welt pocket pressing template. We just need to cut this out and then fold it. Now that it's cut out, we can fold it. Notice that the inside is a little bit longer to account for the fold of the paper. Fold precisely on the dotted line. This piece fits in the middle. Now we're ready to press. Now we'll use our welt pocket pressing template. So we have the pressing template here. Lay this with the folds facing up. We can place the fabric right in the middle. It's designed to be a bit longer than the fabric, so it sticks out. Then we can place this here, and we'll fold it with the fabric in there. Trying to line up the top, you want to keep that square, but the jig should do the work for you. Once I have this pressed here, press it with the iron. Give it a nice good press. And then we can move this. Bring this down like that. Then you can remove it from the jig and remove this paper. And so we have these two press lines, but we need to just make them a little bit crisper. So just fold one over at a time. And now I push that down. And then the same with the other side. Okay, so this is ready to sew into the garment, but we need to mark off where we are going to stitch. Now we're going to go ahead and mark off where we need to stitch to. So we'll use an inch, because the welt is an inch from the pocket opening. So I can use my ruler right here and then just draw a line. Don't draw a line in the center because that's where the welt is. So don't draw here, draw right there. I can flip this around and then line this up just like this. Draw here. So now we have where we're going to stitch from, and it's important that these are exact. Then we can put in as a guide. Once you do this a few times, you don't need to do this guide. But what we can put in our 1/4 inch seam guide here. So we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch. Once again, you won't need to do this after you do this a couple times, but it's helpful when you're learning. So this is all prepared and ready to sew. Now we have our pieces at the sewing machine. I transferred the markings to the front of the fabric here. This is where this piece will go. So we're going to go ahead and put this, it'll be right sides to right sides. And then when this gets turned around, it'll be in the right spot. But we do need to put this on the back side. This is the pocket bag. So we want to go ahead and line that up dead here. And I use the pattern pieces to know where you can go ahead and clip or pin this in place. I find these little fabric pins are really nice for that. Key is that it lays down nice and squared here. We can flip this over now and we have our markings. So I got to line this up right there with that marking. So you can see how this is going to line up there, and then we just center it. Once you have that lined up, we're ready to begin sewing. And the key here is to lift your presser foot, drop the needle down into the space right here. Then you can use a relatively short stitch. And we're going to go ahead and back all the way out to that line. Go ahead and trim your fabric. We can remove these pieces. And then we'll move around to the other side here. And we'll repeat the process. We want to end at the same spots. Make sure this is pushed down straight because it can have a tendency to move. So you don't want it to move. Pull your pocket bag nice and flat. Drop your needle. So now we have this sewn on, and we need to cut out the middle here and cut right to the edges. So we can go ahead and cut right here. Once we have this, then we're going to go ahead and pull the welt to the other side. Now the welt is on this side, and we've already had the pocket bag attached to our fabric. If I bring this over to this side, you can see even without pressing, we look pretty good. We have nice. Go ahead and press this. Next, we're going to go ahead and sew the corners down here. So we want to sew this triangle closed. So place everything, open it up. Then we're going to stitch right where that triangle is, as close as you can. Be careful not to catch the front of the fabric. So this catches that triangle right there. And then we'll do the same on the other side. So now we need to have the pocket facing. So I'm going to place the pocket facing here, and then I want to just figure out where it is lined up. So I just want to line up. So now I have the inside lined up so I can line up those stripes. Flip this back. And I can either stay stitch this or pin it right to here. Now I can top stitch this and this will be okay. Now I have my pocket facing on. I just need to top stitch around this bottom section. I can only do that while the pocket bag is open. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch down, around, and back up. We'll top stitch the other portion after we've closed off the pocket. So I can start right here, right on the outside of this line, drop my needle, leave the needle down when you pivot, and then we can continue. Now we have the top stitching on the bottom. We'll do the top stitching after we've closed the pocket bag. The pocket bag is designed to come all the way up, so then we would catch it in a waistband. That's why it extends past the facing. You could end the pocket bag here with the facing, but then there's a lot of sag on the pocket. So by going all the way up to the ton-up, then you have more strength. You can either serge all the way around, or you can do a French seam. I'll show how to do a French seam. Lay the pocket down flat like this, fold it over and up, and we'll bring this entire assembly up to the top here. So this will all sit here, and we'll stitch a very thin seam right on the edge. So we'll start at the top and then shoot down. And this is where we catch this the first time. You can also stitch this ahead of time, but it's fine. Then we'll repeat the process on this side. Fold the garment out of the way, and then we'll sew the pocket. Want to be careful not to catch any of the garment. You can clean up these edges. Then we can turn this all inside out. So we still have our facing on this side, and then we just need to turn the pocket bag down. Turn out those points. Then we'll stitch all the way around, making the French seam. You can press this first, stitch down the side here, fold everything out of the way. This captures the raw edge of the fabric. Now the edges of our pocket bag are finished, so we can top stitch the top because this is still loose. So we want this to be nice and secure because this is still loose, and by top stitching across this side here, that'll happen. So we can start right in the ditch here. That secures this part of the pocket down. Now we can't even get to the pocket this way. So it's a nice extra protection for your pocket. And then we can put our hand into our pocket and save things. So the last thing to do is just serge off and maybe put some bar tacks at the top up here. And then you suddenly have a really nice welt pocket. This technique shows how to do a welt pocket that goes all the way up to the waistband, and then it allows you to use a jig to press the welt so you get a nice, really clean welt. Hopefully you're able to sew a double welt pocket using this sewing technique. Happy sewing!